about José Antonio Bottiroli, and if you can tell us a little bit about how you met him and became interested in his music.
José Antonio Bottiroli was born in the city of Rosario in 1920. He was a graduate from the University of the Litoral, where he got a degree in music as a professor of music. And he made a career as such. And he was a professor of music at a very important school in Rosario, which was the School of Teachers number 3. And he developed a career in the administration of the school and became the dean. It's a school that has all the levels from kindergarten to pre-college. And every promotion of the school celebrated their 25th anniversary. And that's when my father comes into place, because he was a student in that school, and I met Bottirolli when my father celebrated his 25th anniversary from graduating from the School of Teachers.
Tell us a little bit about this project. What inspired you to record multiple CDs of Bottirolli's music?
Bottirolli inspires me as a human being. If you see, if people will be able to listen to one of the compositions in this album, includes a poem, and that poem, one of the verses, there is a line that says, always giving to others. So that's how I see my art, giving to others. What I know, my talent, to put it, to offer it, all my talents, all my knowledge, to composers that they are unknown. Bottirolli in his life did it as a human being to other people. He offers his warmth as such. For instance, he worked pro bono for 20 years teaching music to the inmates in the prison of Rosario. What did he teach? What he taught them? I really don't know. There is a poem that he wrote too, when he retired from teaching. And really, that poem, I understand that he was a sort of emotional support for the prisoners. So that is what inspires me. He did it with other humans. I do what I do for other musicians.
The last 5 tracks on this album have various names: poem, return, replies, improvisation. These last 5 tracks required some spoken word, and Fabio decided to ask his friend George Takei, who many people know from his acting career on Star Trek and in other projects. And tell us a little bit about how you met George and how he came to be part of this project.
Well, I met George by chance. We were lining up to buy a ticket for the architectural tour of Chicago, and he was standing behind me. That's how I met him. He's a very curious person. He's extremely cultured and educated. He immediately picked up my accent, and that triggered his curiosity where I was from, and we spent the tour together. We realized that we were both from Los Angeles. We were living in Los Angeles, and that we have common friends too. So that was the initial kick of our friendship. So then when I signed the contract to record the complete works by Bottirolli, I thought of him because Bottirolli composed a cycle of 5 pieces that were 10, so 5 pieces that he called replicas, and replies. The replies, we need to think that they are like 2 mirrors looking at each other, where he put, he created the platform to showcase not only his ability as a composer, but also his poetry. So a poem by his own authorship is followed by a piano piece. It's a sort of chamber music, but with the difference that the interpreters don't play together. So they are meant for the narrator to say the poem, the pianist to catch all the expressiveness that put in the interpretation, was put in the interpretation by the narrator, and then reply with the piano. And that was very interesting because I really could understand what Bottirolli meant, because I told George that we have these pieces and if he would be interested, and he said yes. I sent the poem, he confirmed, and all of a sudden I got an email and he said, "Dear Fabio, I'm working on studying these poems, but I need to hear the music." All right, Fabio likes to procrastinate. Fabio should do more, but Fabio always stay working, doesn't really deliver things as often as he should, because he thinks that always can do it better. So when I knew that he was working on the poem, I went to the studio and I immediately recorded the first try of these pieces. Then we gathered, and he remotely, because we are dealing with the pandemic, and he recited the poems. And as I said, it was then I understood, because then I have to do a reply of what he said in the poems. I have to elongate the rallentandos. I have to change some phrasing. So it was really a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that the music on the CD is nocturnes, and I think the selection of George Takei was brilliant in a lot of ways. And one of the things that we've been sort of explaining in our campaign about this album is that Star Trek, the show that George was most associated with, is very much about it's about peaceful exploration of the galaxies. And I believe there's even a track on this CD that's called Andromeda. And it sounds like Bottirolli was fascinated by the night sky, and that inspired his nocturnes. Is that true? That
Yes.
The night sky inspired him?
Yes. He was a composer that reacted to his surroundings. I placed myself in a little town where he has a beautiful retreat home, a vacation holiday home called Villa Pirucin. That is a town that is in the slopes of the Uritorco mountain, which was a sacred mountain for the Aboriginal of the region. I never saw nights more beautiful in my life than the ones I saw in Los Cocos. It's like one is surrounded by the stars. It's like you can touch the stars. They seems like floating around you. So that's I played myself in that context. Besides, by analyzing the manuscripts, Bottirolli left a lot of clues. One clue is the date of the pieces. And the date is when he was in Los Cocos. He also traveled with his wife to the south, camping. Between November to March, he disappeared from Rosario. And I believe, or I want to believe, that he was able to see a very unique astronomical phenomenon in the South Hemisphere that occurred about for 20 days or a month, just over the horizon, in a place where there is not light contamination, meaning light coming from the Earth.
Right.
You can see Andromeda appearing. So I place myself in the situations that led me to believe the things through his music.
Can you tell me a little bit about what kinds of, for people who haven't heard too much Bottirolli, what kinds of composers could you compare his music to? What type of music does it compare to?
I would say that you can have brush strokes of many. You can have, you see the post-romanticism of Gabriel Fauré, a French composer, Emmanuel Chabrier, hard, chromatisms, dissonance that come from his teacher, who was José de Nito. I can give you an example of a very impressionistic piece, if you'd like to hear it. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
You do? All right.
Yes.
I'm going to play Image, which is a piece included in this album. It was composed in 1984.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. For everyone who's watching and listening, that was a track from a live version of a track from this new CD, Bottirolli Complete Works, Volume 2, Nocturnes, which we're talking about today with pianist Fabio Banegas. I think we're about at the end of this presentation, unless there's anything you want to add, Fabio.
No, I just want to, for me, it's very important to express my appreciation, first of all, to Naxos Grand Piano. Grand Piano is the specialized record within the Naxos group in piano repertoire for embracing Bottirolli